The European Tour continued this week with a stop in Glasgow, Scotland. We are less than a month away from WrestleMania 41, so things are heating up. Let's take a look at everything that happened on yesterday's Raw in Scotland, for this is Ridiculously Raw. Hey there, welcome everybody to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and the Phenom, Michael Bullock. And you know how we do it. We got Monday Night Raw. We got NXT. And during this Raw review, we will also announce the newest inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025. Note, I said inductees. So we got more than one going in. It's a tag team. So we'll address that at some point during this Raw review. But right now, let's get into it. Monday Night Raw yesterday from the OVO Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland on Netflix. A special 4 p.m. start time. And, well, there's nothing left to say except just like with last week in Brussels, we got it here again this week. John Cena. Cena's music hit to a massive eruption of boos and chants of John Cena sucks in rhythm with his song. The veteran said the crowd was full of horrible people and they were going to pay for the abuse they have put him through for 25 years. Cena went on for several minutes about his relationship with the fans and how he can play them like a fiddle. He said he is going to purposely ruin wrestling by winning a 17th championship so nobody will remember Ric Flair and have to say Cena's name forever. Then he promised to retire the title when he leaves. Cena leaned heavily into the villain aspect of his character in this promo, and it worked. The crowd played along for every line. When Cody Rhodes' music began to play, the fans were pumped to see him. The American Nightmare said he made a mistake, thinking there was a difference between the old and new Cena, because he might be the most dangerous he has ever been now. Cena ended up walking away from the ring, and Rhodes told him he will leave empty-handed at WrestleMania. This was a little on the long side, but it was a good segment that kept the feud going without the need for physicality, but that cannot last forever. At some point between now and Mania, these two need to throw hands, or fans will grow sick of these non-violent showdowns. Cena making fun of the same kid he mocked last week and how WWE posted it for fans to enjoy was funny. He has a good point, and it works well with the story WWE is telling here. And the irony of the guy who plays Peacemaker in the TV series of the same name complaining about the crowd using profanity was hilarious. But another very good segment between these two. And, well, I don't know what else there is to say here, except I would have to go on to say segment of the night. No question. So, not much more to say here. MF, another week, another great verbal exchange between John Cena and Cody Rhodes. And we did get a little bit of an explanation for John Cena as to number 17, obviously, but we still don't know why did he sell his soul to the final boss.
And at this point in the game, we don't really need to. Not yet. It's going to come in due time. And I know a lot of people have been wondering, clamoring, like, why? I think we know why. He basically mentioned it. It's about the 17, but it's now more deeper than that. Cena wants to walk out just like CM Punk did and leave as the WWE champion. And I love the fact that he incorporated about how the fans ripped on him about the spinner belt, because he nailed it. Absolutely 1000% nailed it. How everybody crapped all over him about the belt. And as a matter of fact, years ago, a certain panelist member in this room called that belt a bling bling sideshow. So
And it was.
That's why Cena said what he said. He basically used all that ammunition and took that moment with all the negative comments and everything else and stored it. Stored it to the memory bank to be utilized now to rip on each and every member of the WWE Universe. And you notice the crowd didn't even say a word. Cena was right. He's been right the whole damn time. And there's not been one moment that any fan doesn't deserve to get the vitriol of John Cena after the way that he's been treated for the last 20 years. And I don't give a damn what anybody says right about now. This is perfect storytelling. And that's the one thing. All you people can do is say profanity towards John Cena, telling him to shut the F up? No. Why don't you sit down, you shut up, and you let a real champion like John Cena cook? Because that is what he's doing right now. Cody Rhodes comes out and basically is like, you know what? I guessed wrong. I bet it wrong. Because this is a more dangerous Cena. Well, it's about freaking time you noticed, Cody. Because if you would have gone like that heading into WrestleMania, 17 is happening. We would have a new WWE champion. At least now Cody realizes, oh, wait a minute. This is not the same John Cena. This is not a Cena that I need to take lightly. And it's a good thing he said what he said. Because now it's no longer about the title. It is about legacy. It is about the moment. And John Cena said something that was very apropos. I'm going to kill wrestling. I'm going to take the one belt that is supposed to be honor, tradition, and everything else, and that he was going to take it away from the fans, from the people. And that could be one thing where maybe Cena fails and he doesn't win the title, or he does win it. He takes that belt, and we might be ushering in a new WWE championship. Hell, if I'm John Cena, just to stick it to all these people, bring back the spinner. Bring it back. Bring back the title. I will welcome it with open arms. Because I'm not like the other people. I wasn't one of the people that was calling it a Bling Bling Sideshow belt. I'm not one of the people that hated on the belt when it first came out.
Oh, that was a Bling Bling side belt.
You shut up, Michael Bullock, because you got no grounds to say anything right now.
Well, as far
This
as
is
I'm
my
concerned,
time.
Ric Flair is the true
What, that old
great champion of all time, because he did it with pride. He did it with integrity.
What the hell are you talking about? How many times did he cheat to win? Too many, Bullock.
Well, Ric Flair at least made it entertaining. John Cena,
shut up.
Boring.
Get out. I don't want to hear you anymore.
Boring.
Floyo, mute this idiot right now. Please. Because that's all you're just talking. Hyperbole. You're talking garbage in my mind.
And Bret Hart was a better champion than John Cena. Undertaker was a better champion than John Cena. And last time I checked, Undertaker squashed John Cena in seconds at WrestleMania 34.
Yeah, because we all know Taker had one foot in the freaking grave and nobody gave two shits about him. So I don't want to hear that. And
Taker would do the same thing again.
And then Cena was doing him a favor by giving him a moment because of what happened on WrestleMania 30. Because everybody knows Cena should have been the one to end the streak. He should have been the one to end the streak. And you being such a stinking hypocrite, that's what you are,
I'm
Michael
not a
Bullock.
hypocrite.
Because of the fact that you're the people, that you're the same person that was so Cena Nation, and the minute he turns, now you turn? Get the heck out of here. I don't want to hear any garbage from you, Michael Bullock. You are a hypocrite, you are an idiot, and you are absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. And I don't give a damn if you get offended by what I'm saying.
Whatever.
Because I'm speaking facts. I'm speaking truth. And you
Well, it is nothing more than bullshit.
Yeah, well, guess what? That is the way it
John
is.
Cena is wrong.
No. And that's why.
And he betrayed the kids that looked up to him.
You know the old saying, screw the kids, because that's what it is. And on top of that, Michael Bullock, you got nerve to talk about this when everything Cena's done, he's always been prideful about hustle, loyalty, respect. And you know that.
Well, it's nothing more than a farce now.
Yeah, well, guess what? Cry me a stinking river, because that's what it is.
And if I still had that John Cena shirt, I would have burnt that damn thing.
Yeah, right. You lie. You're lying like a rug. You're trying to stay face. You're trying to show sympathy to the people because you think that you're in the right. No,
the people.
You're not. You're a sheep. You're a sheep like every Cena Nation fan out there. You are a sheep. You are mindless. You are a goof, because that's exactly what was incorporated. You've been eating up all this stuff for 20 years. Never said one thing, one iota. And now all of a sudden, the truth comes out and you can't handle it. That's exactly what it is, Michael Bullock. You can't handle the fact that John Cena was talking facts. You were one of the people who had your mouth shut, didn't say anything last night on Monday Night Raw. And now what? And now what's the excuse? Oh, Cena's so bad. He turned on the fans. He turned on this. And for what? Because you want to cut a narrative because of, oh, he can't win 17? Why? Because an old ass Ric Flair who is like 1 foot on the stinking grave? Ric Flair cheated so many times to win his championship belt. Not once did Cena ever do backdoor his way to a championship. Never once did Cena backstab or manipulate it or anything like that to get to the 17, to get to this moment. You got no foot to say anything right now, Michael Bullock. Nothing. That's all I'm going to say about that. Cody did a good job. Cena did an incredible job with his promo. That makes us interesting. Now, when we get into the fight at WrestleMania, yes, that's going to be the main topic than anything else. I got nothing more to say. This was great. All right, Bullock, it's yours.
All right. I guess I'm just gonna have to take it for a spin here.
He's probably needing to decompress because I finally told the truth and exposed them.
Yeah, it is. I know it's very divisive, and I completely understand. And I know it's hard for some people, and but the thing is, the fans have waited a long time for this moment, and the only reason why it didn't happen sooner was because you had that other guy running things.
Absolutely.
I mean, Cena himself, going back to 2012, going back, to just before WrestleMania 28. He said it on the Chris Van Vliet show. He said it. He said that he was on the verge of turning heel at that particular moment. He had new gear. He had new music. He had everything ready to go. But what happened? Mick Dinkelberg put the kibosh on it.
And the thing is because of the fact, and it would have been, and at the time, Anthony, it would have been perfect. The fans were booing him out of the building in Miami. You were going into The Rock's home turf, and it was absolutely perfection. I actually thought, like you said, that would have been the perfect moment for Cena to turn. Cena could have turned, at 28. He could have turned, challenging The Undertaker at WrestleMania in New Orleans. He could have done the turn there.
Sure.
I mean, there's plenty of times that they didn't do it. I just don't understand why people are so mad about it now. Because you're the ones that have been begging for the heel turn. You're the ones that have been wanting this heel turn to happen. And now that it happens, you can't handle it because he's been speaking truth.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not an Einstein here. I'm not a brainiac, but I'm seeing how this is playing out. And you and I have been eating this up. We've been enjoying this. It's just there are so many people that is such hypocrites that it baffles me. And that's why I get so ticked off with these people. Because this is when Derek Ferrera bashed the IWC for the criticism about John Cena, this is why I said he was right. Because of moments like this. So no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for what I said. And I don't have a right to apologize for what I said. Because I feel like I'm in the right.
You are. I completely agree with you. 100%. So, and in all honesty, when it comes to me, I absolutely love this. I mean, I've wanted it. I've wanted it also. And I am beyond glad that they pulled the trigger, because Cody versus Cena without this would have been as vanilla of a main event as you could possibly ask for. Simple. I mean, I absolutely love the turn. I think he's doing wonders with it. I mean, I know that the timing might have been not the best, but hey, what do we always talk about? What do we always preach about when it comes to WWE nowadays? Unpredictability. And they pulled the rug out from under all of us. They pulled the wool over all our eyes, except for one person. That was MF. He called this. He predicted this to happen. When we did that Cerebral Smack Talk show about a month ago, when we were talking about it, when we were talking about that segment when The Rock asked Cody for his soul, when we talked about that, and on that night, MF said, "What if it's Cena? What if Cena does it? What if it happens?" And look what happened. It's like you're friggin' Nostradamus, MF. It's like you're Nostradamus. It's almost like you cracked the code, governor. That's what you did. You cracked this code, and how you did it, I don't know. We'll never know. But
I kind of feel like it kind of fell into my lap. It wasn't like I just thought about it, and then it started to make sense at some point. And it just was like, and honestly, all this is like a house of cards.
It is.
One mistake, and this thing topples completely right over. But
Indeed.
The thing is, at the end of the day, the moment happened. I know people are pissed. I get it. But the thing is that you're the ones who wanted this.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I keep harking back on, is that there are diehard fans who wanted Cena to be heel. And that's why when I talked about last night, remember how everybody was like, oh, the negative comments about the spinner belt. everybody was Googling it. They start thinking, and they're like, holy crap, Cena was right. And that's the moment you realize that's the art of professional wrestling. This is why we love Papa H. He pulled that card knowing that there was some stuff. This is brilliant work.
Absolutely.
They just got to execute it perfectly. They got to execute it to the T. But right now,
one more time.
Yeah.
We get it. We're gonna get this one more time next week. London. Cena and Cody. One more time.
This time they have to start. They have to throw. There's no more point at this point. They
do.
They have to start swinging.
We need the physicality.
Yeah.
This is his last advertised appearance before WrestleMania, unless they throw another curveball.
Yeah.
So, because there'll still be 2 Raws and a couple of SmackDowns before WrestleMania, and we have 2 international shows left. We've got London on Friday for SmackDown, and of course we got the London Raw next week, 3:00. So
both going to be at the O2, the legendary O2 Arena.
The legendary O2 Arena, indeed. And one more quick point I want to make before this, because I don't want this to get beyond, out of control here. But I do want to say this though. I was not the biggest fan of the spinner belt. MF, you know that. Mm-hmm. I was not a big fan of it because I much prefer the Winged Eagle belt or even the Attitude Era belt.
I prefer the undisputed WWE Championship that was held by guys like Brock Lesnar, The Rock. I think one of the final guys who had it was Eddie Guerrero, and I remember loving Eddie Guerrero when he had the belt. So yes,
actually it was JBL.
JBL was the last champion. Yes,
JBL. Cena won it at 21, and then that first SmackDown after 21. That's when we were introduced to the spinner belt. And while I may not be the biggest fan of it, and I'm not, I'm gonna be the man who tells it like it is. For me, not the biggest fan of that belt. I did not like that belt whatsoever. I thought it was a toy. I thought it was a bling bling sideshow. But I mean, if he were to bring that, if he does win the title at Mania, which very well could happen, easily could happen. Well, if he brings it back, then in the immortal words of Bautista, I and all of the other bling bling sideshow belt haters, we're just going to have to grin and bear it and deal with it. And if I have to deal with it, I'll deal with it. I will deal with it in due time. So, all right. So we'll see what happens next week when Cena and Cody have another face-to-face at the O2 in London. So hopefully we're all good here, and we can now move on. And yeah, let's move on now to our first match of the evening, which was the tag team matchup. Great A-Town Down Under, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory squaring off against main event Jey Uso. Now, Jey Uso had a mystery partner, and there was a theory that MF presented to us in our Talking Wrestling TXM Messenger chat that he thought, with the show being in Scotland, he thought it was going to be a certain individual who is currently the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, the most viral superstar in professional wrestling today, who lives just down the road in Edinburgh, Scotland. That being Mr. Joe Hendry. Well, unfortunately, friends, it was not a Joe Hendry. But, I mean, MF had that theory, but I'm going to be honest with you. Who did it end up being? It ended up being who I initially thought was going to be Jay's mystery partner. Brother Jimmy Uso, Big Jim, the Usos, back together. And as Bullock reminded us during our Raw chat yesterday, for one night only. So it was the Usos squaring off against A-Town Down Under. And to the surprise of none of us, the Usos win the match, 9 minutes and 15 seconds. But yes, there was that extracurricular activity following the bout, because you know who, the World Heavyweight Champion, the Reign General Gunther, of course, living up to the promise that he made, that he was going to put Jey Uso through 10 weeks of hell, and he went after it. But Jimmy got involved, and you noticed Jey Uso slipped. Was that for real, or was that planned? I've heard a lot. I've seen a lot of things about this. Was that planned? Did they plan that, or was it, God forbid, a dipsy-do botcheroo? If it's a dipsy-do botcheroo, oh boy, that's all I can say. But it does lead into next week. Gunther will go one-on-one with Jimmy Uso, and we will definitely see how that all plays out. But for right now, MF, as I give it to you, the Usos back together, at least for one night only, defeating A-Town Down Under, 9 minutes and 15 seconds. It's like they never split up. I mean, it's a full circle moment. You know how Bullock and I are about full circle moments. A year ago, 1 year ago, these two men were on a collision course to WrestleMania in a brother versus brother match that unfortunately, ended up being the stinker of the week.
Yeah, it did not live up to the hype.
Did not live up to the hype whatsoever. But I mean, what a great moment to see the Usos back together. Arguably the greatest tag team of all time. A 622-day run as the undisputed tag team champions. It's like they never missed a step, MF.
Yeah, no, they did not. They looked amazing in the ring. Solid matchup, good. It was about a 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star match. Yeah, it was a fine fight, and it was a solid fight. Up and down, everything went fine. I will say this. I believe that was actually a deliberate mess up, because you notice he tried to do the dive and he came up short and missed. I think what they're doing is this might be planting the seeds that Jey might be making mistakes at the wrong time. That if this is the way that they're going to have Gunther win at WrestleMania, this is a good fallback on, is that Jey keeps screwing up. Jey keeps making mistakes along the way. That's going to come back to haunt him at the end. But I will say this. This was a fine match. Yes, it was cool to see the Usos back. The Usos were amazing. It was fine for what it was worth. At the end of the day, we had a good fight. Nothing more to say. As far as the body of work goes, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. There's really nothing more to add. So if Bullock is back, Mike, come back in, brother. If you're not back, then Anthony, I guess I'll take it to you.
All right. I'm guessing he's not. So all right. So let me take this one for a spin here. Solid 3 stars for the match. Outcome never in doubt. The crowd was weirdly quiet in places, but would come alive whenever a fun spot occurred. It might have been the way the audience was set up for sound, or perhaps WWE might have forgotten to include its usual fake crowd noise. Everything sounded normal during the previous segment. Usos hitting the 1D on Austin Theory to get the pin and the win. Solid match, even if it wasn't very memorable. Gunther showed up and took out Jimmy Uso before he and Jey got into it. And Jey tripped when he tried to hit a spear, but Jimmy saved him with a chair to send Gunther running. This is the first time the Usos have teamed up on television since Money in the Bank 2023. You remember, on that night, it was the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa in that Bloodline Civil War at the O2 in London that was when Jey Uso pinned Roman Reigns to win that match. And that led to Jey Uso getting that major SummerSlam payday when he challenged Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship in that tribal combat match. That Jimmy cost Jey in the first place. So it's so cool to see how unique each Uso brother feels now. There was a long time when most fans could not tell them apart, and both now have unique personalities and looks. Austin Theory hit a running forearm at ringside to Jimmy that looked brutal. The sound of the impact and the way Jimmy sold it made it look so stiff. And there was a weird moment when the show was supposed to go to a commercial, but no ads played. And then the show returned and the announcers acted like everything was normal. Now, only for the people that had the international version of Netflix. Bullock and I noticed this because Bullock and I had a Raw chat during this. And I noticed, and I said this. I said, "Hey, look at this. They have that ad clock up there. Some ad breaks take 3 minutes, others take 2.5 minutes. But we noticed that they were still right there. And I'm like, okay, we don't have the international version, and we don't have the ad-free version either. I've got the basic plan. I'm sure Bullock does too, and I don't know which tier MF has, but you noticed the clock.
I had
ad
basic.
Clock was there.
I got basic as well. I got the $7.99 a month.
Oh, okay, yeah, me too. So, and I'm guessing Bullock does as well. So, but yeah, weird moment there, but anyways, solid 3 for the match. So we'll await for Bullock to come back in. But in the meantime, let's okay, we had quite a bit of some things here. Some backstage Judgment Day stuff. Lyra Valkyria and Bayley, although she was making her way to the ring for her match. El Grande Americano. A new video package aired, and then they were in General Manager Adam Pearce's office, and Adam Pearce informed Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee that the video was for El Grande Americano. And of course, they were assuming it was Chad Gable, who showed up and said they were wrong. And then Gable said someone got him sick, and he handed Adam Pearce a doctor's note. And Gable suggested that Lee face Americano instead. And it set it up. It was supposed to be Dragon Lee versus Chad Gable, but Dragon Lee squaring off against El Grande Americano instead. So with that being said, we move on now to our next match, which was for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. This is the first show where both Intercontinental Championships were on the line. And we'll get into that in a little bit because the other one was our main event. Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line. The champion, Lyra Valkyria, defending the title against Raquel Rodriguez. Liv Morgan, of course, in Raquel's corner. And the winner of the match, 8 minutes and 25 seconds. And still the Women's Intercontinental Champion. It is Lyra Valkyria. So Lyra successfully defends the title. So, yeah. Big moment here for Lyra Valkyria. I mean, even though you can make an argument that it was a 2-on-1 handicap match because of the fact that, you had Raquel out there and Lyra didn't really have anybody watching her back. So I'll tell you what, Rodriguez had a significant size and strength advantage and made sure to put that on display as soon as they started. But the champion used her quickness to avoid and counter whenever she could. There was a bit of a lull in the action during the middle portion, but Morgan, being such a good antagonist at ringside, added some entertainment. Lyra Valkyria retained the title by countering Rodriguez's powerbomb into a victory roll for the pinfall, but she was attacked by Liv Morgan as soon as the bell rang. The finish was done a little slowly, so it looked awkward, but it was the right booking decision. Bayley showed up to make the save and help send the women's tag champs out of the ring. And then yet there was another strange moment when we were supposed to be seeing ads, but we could hear the audio feed from the arena. Michael Cole quickly figured it out and covered, but it was confirmation that WWE and Netflix were actually having some issues this week. WWE and let's see what else we had. They did not do the usual They didn't do the usual introductions in the ring before a title bout this time. You know, those big fight intros. Interesting. And the Hurricanrana Valkyria used to send Rodriguez in the announce table looked a bit slow and sloppy. But the moment Rodriguez nailed her in the middle of a dive with a big boot seconds later was awesome. So I'm going to give this about 2.5 stars for the effort. So really not much more to say on this. So MF, Lyra Valkyria overcoming the odds and successfully defending the Women's Intercontinental Championship, defeating Raquel Rodriguez in 8:25. Raquel and Liv attacked her after the match, but Bayley came out to make the save. So your thoughts?
Yeah, we kind of opened the door for the fact that I believe that we actually might get Bayley and Lyra Valkyria maybe going after the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. There's a very good possibility now heading into WrestleMania. I just don't know what's going on. I think it's going to be very interesting to see. But at the end of the day, I thought they did a fine job. Yes, it was a solid matchup. I really got nothing bad to say about that. So it was about a 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star match. Nothing more to say. Anthony, back to you, my friend.
All right. So let's continue on here. All right, just give me 1 second here. Just trying to having a little issue here. Hang on 1 second here. 1 second here. Okay, so all right, so let's continue on and let's get into our next thing here. All right, I just got to see if this is this where we get to the announcement or do we wait?
Are you talking about the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I think this is where it is. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is the moment. Yeah.
All right, before we get to the big thing here. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So, before we get into the next big segment here, which featured General Manager Adam Pearce. So, all right. So yesterday, WWE made the announcement about who is going to be the next inductee, or in this case, inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame. And, well, we have our tag team. We have our tag team that's going into the WWE Hall of Fame, and that being Earthquake and Typhoon, the natural disasters. The natural disasters. They are going in as the tag team. A lot of people thought maybe Demolition, especially when they signed that Legends deal, but nonetheless, the natural disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon, John Tenta and Fred Ottman, who worked in the WWF between 1991 and 1993, one-time co-holders of the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. We all remember how it came around. It was right around early summer of 91 when Jimmy Hart announced that he had signed Andre the Giant to form a tag team with Earthquake, and then Gene Okerlund talked to Andre the Giant, and then Earthquake attacked Andre, and that never really happened. Then Jimmy Hart got revenge for the humiliation a few weeks later during a 6-man tag match featuring Earthquake and the Nasty Boys against Tugboat and the Bushwhackers. And then it was revealed in this match that Jimmy Hart had secretly signed Tugboat, who turned on the Bushwhackers after a few minutes of action and joined Earthquake in laying the Bushwhackers out. And after the heel turn, Tugboat changed his name to Typhoon, and together they became the Natural Disasters, and a name that had been used for Earthquake's team at the 1990 Survivor Series, and it led to that match with the Natural Disasters and the Bushwhackers at SummerSlam 91. Of course, their big moment in the sun came when Jimmy Hart, when the Natural Disasters, when Jimmy Hart turned on the Natural Disasters to go with Money Incorporated, the $1 Million Man, Teddy DiBiase, and Irwin R. Shyster. And they finally won the titles on July 20th of 1992 at a house show in Worcester, Massachusetts, at the old Worcester Centrum. And they held the titles up until October of 92, when Money Incorporated won the titles back on an episode of Wrestling Challenge. And then they turned the Nasty Boys face, and that set it up. So, of course, they disbanded in 93. They began showing signs of dissension, most noticeably at the 1993 Royal Rumble, when they went at it during that Royal Rumble, and Earthquake eliminated Typhoon from that match. And then Typhoon left to go to WCW. They both went to WCW. Typhoon went there first, and of course made an infamous debut as the Shockmaster. We all know that infamous moment. And then Earthquake wrestled in Japan and came back in 94 for a short sumo feud with Yokozuna, because John Tenta was a sumo wrestler. And then Tenta went to WCW, and he wrestled as Avalanche, and then became the Shark, and then wrestled under his real name before leaving. And then Earthquake came back to the WWF in 98 as Golga, a member of that infamous Oddities group.
Which was one of the coolest. It was supposed to be a comedy skitty group, but I will say this, the Oddities were actually one of my favorite groups I've ever seen. They actually were very entertaining, no doubt about it.
And John Tenta, Earthquake, was Golga. He was a member of that. And then WrestleMania 17, the Gimmick Battle Royal. Earthquake was Earthquake, but Typhoon was not Typhoon. He was Tugboat. He and those two went at it again. So, but then of course Earthquake unfortunately passed away from metastatic bladder cancer in 2006. And then it was announced on Raw yesterday that the Natural Disasters were announced by WWE as the first tag team inductee and the fourth inductee overall of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025, joining Triple H, Michelle McCool, and Lex Luger. They actually wrestled together in Super World of Sports. They were one-time SWS Tag Team Champions. Of course, their biggest moment was when they were one-time World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, and then taking their rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025. Okay, Michael Bullock is back. We'll get to Bullock in a minute, but the first things first, because Bullock does have a lot to catch up on. We're going over the Hall of Fame announcement, obviously. The Hall of Fame with the Natural Disasters going in, and here's a little fun fact. I told Bullock this, and he was surprised when I told him. Now, MF, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to try you anyway. Typhoon happens to be the uncle of Cody Rhodes. Did you know that?
Actually, no. Wow.
How about that for a fun fact, huh?
That's pretty awesome.
So I think we know who might be inducting them into the Hall of Fame, although Bullock also had another idea about Jimmy Hart.
Yeah. You can't forget about Jimmy Hart, because
I actually agree with that one. I think Jimmy Hart would probably be better to induct the Natural Disasters. I would go with Jimmy Hart.
because he was the one that put this the natural disasters together.
Yeah.
And I think it's only fitting that he should be the one. And it's nothing against Cody Rhodes and being the, but I just think Jimmy Hart is the rightful man to do it.
I agree.
Definitely.
Totally agree with that.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, nonetheless, now the thing is, what was I going to say before that little ding ding? This was confirmed. This was a now it was this induction was a few weeks ago. Dirt Sheets had reported it, and I told Bullock, especially Bullock, I told you that me personally, I mean, as reliable as some Dirt Sheets are, I wanted to wait until WWE officially confirms it themselves. And well, yesterday we finally got that confirmation. So now we can officially say that the natural disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon, are now the newest inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025. And man, I'll tell you what, big, when they were running around, we were all little kids. When they first started. And when you're a little kid and you're looking up to these great big guys, you're like, whoa, man alive. But they were a great tag team. They had some great moments. When they had their first feud with the Bushwhackers at SummerSlam '91, and then challenging for the tag team championships against the Legion of Doom at the 1992 Royal Rumble. And then they got another shot at WrestleMania 8 against Money Inc. But Money Inc. Took their ball and went home, obviously. And but then they finally got their golden moment at a house show in Worcester at the old Worcester Centrum, July 20th of '92. They won the titles, defeating Money Inc. And there's actually a video of it somewhere. That match was actually taped for a Coliseum home video release. And Jim Ross, I think it was Jim Ross and Bobby Heenan. I think they did the commentary for that match, if I recall correctly. And very good moment there. And then they successfully defended against the Beverly Brothers at SummerSlam '92. And then, of course, lost them back to Money Inc. on that Wrestling Challenge in October of '92. I remember that very vividly. And, a fun team to watch. And it's sad that Earthquake will not be a part of it. I'm glad he's getting a posthumous induction. And the thing is, if you notice the YouTube video, this induction has actually been planned for a year. Because it was at last year's Hall of Fame that Triple H and Nick Khan actually pulled John Tenta's family aside, and they told John Tenta's family that we're going to be inducting him and Typhoon into the WWE Hall of Fame next year. So next year is here. It's here. It's now. So, but yes, one of the great tag teams of the early '90s, and fun to watch, and had some great moments. And I'm glad they got a run with the tag team titles, and they would have been one of the best to never do it if it wasn't for that win in Worcester. So Earthquake and Typhoon, we congratulate you. And so now we got Triple H, we got Michelle McCool, we got Lex Luger, and we have now the Natural Disasters. Now there is a rumor going around that the Ugandan giant Kamala could be the next inductee. But again, with all due respect, I want to wait and see until WWE officially confirms this. Once they confirm it, then we'll go about it accordingly. But the Natural Disasters are now officially confirmed. Well-deserved honor. And, well, The question is who inducts them. I mean, we got two. Obviously, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, who was their manager. But, like I also said, Cody Rhodes. And we could have a nice little uncle-nephew moment. Because, like I said, Typhoon is Cody Rhodes' uncle, as well as Dustin. He's also Dustin's uncle, too. And of course, Uncle Fred. He actually was the brother-in-law of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He was Dusty's brother-in-law. So that's how that all tie-in comes in. So, and I actually found a funny video from WCW where Tony Schiavone, when Fred Ottman was the Shockmaster, I found a video where Tony Schiavone was interviewing Fred Ottman in his home on his couch, and there was all these kids around. And you noticed one of those kids happened to be a very little Cody Rhodes, who was about, I want to say, 7 or 8 years old when this was filmed. And his sister Teal, who of course was in the ring during the celebration after Cody won last year. So, but yes, Typhoon, the uncle of Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes could induct him, have a nice little uncle-nephew moment there. Or Jimmy Hart. I mean, we'll have to wait and find out how WWE decides to do it, but it would be so cool to see Jimmy Hart. I mean, you always get that moment seeing all those legends that you grew up idolizing and watching. So, but nonetheless, on behalf of all of us here at Talking Wrestling TXN, we extend our heartfelt congratulations to Earthquake, John Tenta, and Typhoon, Uncle Fred Ottman, if you will, and for taking their rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025. And we simply say to both of you, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for the natural disasters. So with all that being said, good old MF Michael Fletcher, Triple H, Michelle McCool, Lex Luger, and now you can add the natural disasters. How about it?
Yeah, and obviously congratulations to the natural disasters. This was a rule that was implemented by McMahon, and I'm going to say it because he always wanted to have at least one tag team inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. This was a good choice. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, when is Demolition going to get their due? When are they going to get inducted? I believe they will eventually. If not next year in New Orleans, maybe down the line. But I'm almost certain now that they got Legends contracts that eventually we will hear Demolition being the next to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I do believe they deserve it. I do believe they should be in it. I know there's a little bit of some controversy about, that Axe had a falling out with WWE. So there might have been some problems there, but it looks like everything's smoothed over. So it looks like they might be getting in there eventually. I heard the rumor about Kamala. I think it's going to happen, but I'm not 1,000% sure on it. So I'm not going to say yay or nay on that. Like you said, Anthony, we'll believe it when it happens. At the end of the day, I think this was the right decision to get the natural disasters. I remember seeing Typhoon for the first time. I remember I think it was the early 90s when it was in 1990, 89, 90, when, if you remember, he was the Canadian Earthquake at first. And he had that rivalry with Hulk Hogan after he destroyed Hogan. That led to Hogan leaving, coming back at SummerSlam 1990 in Philadelphia. And then they went upward and onward with that. So, yeah, this was a very good moment. Wicked cool for me because, like you said, Anthony, this was our childhood. We grew up with the natural disasters, and especially during their run to, them chasing for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championships and then eventually getting the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championships. So, yeah, to me, they were absolutely phenomenal. They are the modern day. And if you want a comparison to what the natural disasters is now in WWE, think of the War Raiders. Think about the War Raiders That's exactly who they are. They have the agility, they are strong, and they did some moves that you're like, a big man's not supposed to do this. What is this? But that's exactly what they were. Amazing. Nothing more to say, Michael Bullock. I think uh, two men who are worthy to be in the Hall of Fame, and I actually do agree. I think Jimmy Hart should be the one to induct them into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they are one of the modern day tag teams, and like you said, I mean, first off, I mean they were well. First, Earthquake came in as just a singles competitor, and then you could say the same for Fred Ottman, aka first he was known as Tugboat, and then you put these two together, Earthquake and Typhoon, and you had one of the biggest tag teams in WWE at the time, and it was Jimmy Hart who brought them together, and they challenged um, the Legion of Doom for the tag titles at the Royal Rumble in '92, and they thought that they should have won that, but it didn't happen. And then they challenged again for the titles at WrestleMania 8, and they won the match, but via disqualification, or not disqualification, I meant a count out. I mean, but they would eventually get their moment. So yeah, I heard the rumors, and then, like Anthony told me, he wasn't going to make it official until WWE officially made the announcement. Well, they did, and now they're going in along with Triple H, Michelle McCool, and Lex Luger. So yeah, and I did hear that same rumor, Fletch, with the Ugandan giant Kamala going in, but like you said, we gotta wait and see for when they do make it official. If so, yeah. So there's really nothing more for me to say.
Okay, so Bullock, while we have you,
Well, first off, before I catch up on these, I first off want to start off with a statement here, and I
by
first
all
off
means.
want to apologize to the both of you for my reprehensible actions and some of the words I said. And Florio, I know you saw that text, and that was very, very unprofessional of me. I never should have said those words. And Fletch, of course, that back and forth we had, to me, I should have been a little more professional with and not let the emotions get the best of me.
You know what, man? It always happens. It doesn't. Sometimes we say things that we don't mean, or there's a
Heat
lot
in
of
the
times.
moment.
Yeah, heat of the
I
moment.
mean,
I was out of bounds. I know I was out of bounds with a couple of comments that I made, so I shouldn't have
and
said
I'll
what
be
I
quite
said.
honest with you, Fletch. They were a little hurtful. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, and
And
I apologize for that. That's
but
not that's not
but
who I.
but the thing is, I never should have let it got to that point. I never should have let. That's the thing. And
You needed time. You needed to take.
and the way it was, I mean, I can't believe when I'm saying this, but I almost didn't want to come back to the show, or I almost didn't want to come back at all ever again, because how many times have I done this on any of our?
Unfortunately, it has happened a few times. I mean, of course, the most infamous one, of course, the May 19th.
Please, Floyd, please don't bring that up.
Yeah.
Please don't. I
Oh,
mean,
certainly not.
and after this, I mean, during the time I was away, I was actually thinking about not coming back on ever again, because this is like, I think, the third time I've done this, and
It's
there
happened.
was part of me that was like, I don't want to damage the reputation of our show because of what I did. And I wasn't going to allow that. That's why I almost thought about not coming back at all ever again. Because
Understand.
I'm all about the reputation, and the last thing I want to do was hurt the reputation of the show you created, Florio. And of course, when it comes to Fletch with the other show, I'm not going to put a stain on it. I don't want to do that with my unprofessional behavior. So I apologize for it, and that's all I'll say.
Well said. Well said, my friend. And we all need moments to compose ourselves and get back in the groove, you know. So
and I'm sorry you had to deal with that once again, Florio.
Yeah, I mean it happens. It happens, and I won't lie, I was a little shaken up, and so shaken up that I was stumbling all over the place a little bit. So, but that's all right. I mean, we're good. We're good. We're cool. So it's done. It's over. Let's move on. So, and for the rest of this show, we're gonna have some fun. Let's have some fun here tonight, like we always do.
But in all seriousness, when it comes to that segment, it was perfectly well done. I mean, with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. I mean, Cena was he cut a scathing promo again for the second straight week, and the thing that I loved about, I mean, this is why WWE wanted to wait until they did these international shows to have John Cena show up, because what would have happened, guys, if Raw was still in the US at the time and they did this? Would have gotten the same reaction?
That's a good question. I mean, that goes into our what if files. I mean, what if?
I mean, Fletch, what says you? Would Cena have gotten the same reaction?
Or would there have been those IWC folks out there that would have cheered it?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because we do have IWC people, so
and especially I think the one of the final stops is in Chicago. I think
April 4th, SmackDown.
Yeah, and if they had him appear on SmackDown, would he have gotten the same reaction like they had in Belgium or or what we saw last night?
Well,
or would it have gotten cheered?
Well,
but the thing is,
I'll say it like this.
But the thing is,
I think the men would have cheered it. The men would have cheered it. I don't know about the women or the kids.
Matter what, John Cena would have unloaded on the IWC no matter what.
Oh, he would have. He definitely would have.
Because you've heard him. He hates those who say the Cena sucks, but he hates those who cheer for him even more. And I got this funny feeling something's going to go down in London next week.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if that happens. All right, let's get you on the first match here. The Usos, the reunited Usos, as you reminded me yesterday during our Raw chat, one night only. Usos against A-Town Down Under. Usos win the match 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Gunther showed up afterwards, but the thing was, there was we noticed the moment Jay slipped. Was that planned, or was that an actual botch?
Well, that's tough. I mean, I'm gonna say it's part of the plan, because
let's hope so.
The thing is, I mean, because we've seen Jey Uso with some slip-ups, and maybe it's trying to get people to think maybe he can't beat him, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I just find it hard to believe that Jey Uso would botch something like that. I just find it hard to believe it. So, but you never know. But yeah, it's good to see the Usos back for one night only. I mean, but man, the one thing I love, Florio, and I'm sure you noticed it, Pat McAfee yeeting in a freaking kilt.
Yes, Pat McAfee had a kilt on. Yes, he did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if I want to see those bony legs of his.
Oh, I mean,
Hey, who are we talking about here?
Pat McAfee. You noticed Pat McAfee yesterday?
He was wearing a kilt.
Your boy MF.
I was
He
working.
did it for the brand.
I kind of was working, so I kind of missed some of the show. So forgive me if I missed some of those things. But yeah, I know about the legs of McAfee.
I don't know if I wanted to see those bony legs. I mean, nothing against him, but
yeah,
not at all.
Yeah, I probably got an image that I probably want to get out of my head.
Yeah.
Like I said, nothing against the guy.
Oh.
So
hey, you gotta give him credit where credit's due, man. Not everybody's is worthy enough to do a kilt. I'll say that.
Yeah, but getting back to this, I mean, but the thing is, you saw backstage. I mean, you could even see Jey Uso starting to doubt himself. But Jimmy Uso, he tried to fire him up, saying, if you bring this Jey Uso that I see right now, Gunther will wipe the floor with you. You need to bring the Jey Uso that got you to become main event Jey Uso. The one who...
The right-hand man.
And the one that won the Royal Rumble. So, and then Jimmy Uso goes to challenge Gunther to a match next week, and Gunther accepts. So, I don't know about you guys, but
Jimmy's in big trouble.
Jimmy's in big time trouble.
Jimmy's going to get the hell beat out of him.
He's going to get the hell beat out of him by Gunther.
And especially after that slap heard around the world. Oh!
You do not want to piss off the ring general.
Dude, the look on Gunther's face is like, he respects Jimmy Uso for doing what he did with that slap.
But it could come back to bite him.
Exactly. I was gonna say, but the look in the eyes of Gunther says that he is going to kill him next week at the O2 in London.
Yeah, this may not be a match. It'll be a match. It could turn out to be a squash.
Ain't gonna be no match. It's gonna be a massacre.
Yeah, you said it better.
MF knows where I'm going with that one. All right. So, what's your rating for the match?
3 stars is my rating.
Okay. Lyra Valkyria versus Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Lyra Valkyria successfully defends in 8 minutes and 25 seconds. As we said during our Raw chat yesterday, Bo, she overcame the odds of not just Raquel, but Liv as well. But then Raquel and Liv attacked after the match. Bayley showed up. I'm thinking a possible tag team. We're thinking a possible tag team match down the road, player.
Yeah, I could definitely see a tag team match going down with Lyra Valkyria and Bayley against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I mean, yes, Liv Morgan. I mean, Lyra Valkyria did overcome the odds. I mean, there was a little part of me was thinking, oh man, we're gonna have a new champion because, Liv Morgan's not afraid to stick her nose where it doesn't belong. I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, if our old friend Dee Dee Woodson were here, I think we know who she would have on her hit list.
Oh yeah.
Liv Morgan would be on her hit list.
Liv Morgan will be on the list.
She probably would say someone needs to take her to the woodshed and needs to get whipped like a dog.
Nah. Dee Dee would probably do it herself. She would just she would do the infamous checkered apron. You already know.
Yeah, that one.
Trust me, I know about it because one time she actually threatened me with that checkered apron live on air, and it almost spooked the living daylights out of me when she said that too.
Yeah, so Liv, if Dee Dee Woodson was here, you got a spot in her woodshed waiting for you, especially with that checkered apron.
Indeed. So, all right.
2.5 stars is my rating.
What was the rating again?
2.5.
2.5. Okay. Yep. That's what we gave it. All right. I think we caught up on everything. We caught up with the Hall of Fame, and we all got our bearings straight after earlier on. So we're all good to go. We're ready to rock and roll here. So now business is going to pick up for the rest of the show. And we started off with Raw General Manager Adam Pearce in the ring. And, of course, this was in response to what Rhea Ripley did last week. And by the way, that Coliseum home video release where they had where they showed the Natural Disasters winning the tag team titles, it's called Grudges, Gripes, and Grunts. That's the name of the Coliseum home video release. And it might be on Peacock because, Peacock does have a Coliseum video section. So we'll keep an eye out on that. So, all right. So with that being said, now we'll get into the segment here. Raw General Manager Adam Pearce came to the ring and talked about the situation with the Women's World Championship. The champion, Io Sky, came to the ring and said she was willing to fight Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair at the same time. But then Bianca arrived and said that she did not want Rhea to weasel her way into her Mania match. And then Adam Pearce interrupted by Rhea Ripley. And Adam Pearce and Bullock, what do we always say about angry Adam Pearce? What do we always say about that?
Angry Adam Pearce is the best one, and my goodness, I don't know if I've ever seen him this angry in a long time.
Anytime he does that, enough! Yeah, you know it's serious. So, Adam Pearce, he made a decision. Oh boy, did he make a decision. Next week, Rhea Ripley will get her Women's World Championship rematch. She will get another shot at Io Sky, but with an added twist. Special guest referee, Bianca Belair. Whoa.
I guarantee you that match ain't ending cleanly.
No. Ripley versus Sky next week for the title, with the winner going on to defend against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. And then as soon as Adam Pearce left the ring, all three women started brawling. This segment helped set up a title match for next week while keeping Mania in focus, and it gave all three women some time on the mic. Adam Pearce acting frustrated is always kind of funny, so with that added to the moment. Belair getting booed as she took out the other two superstars. You notice she was getting boos. But Sky being over as the champion in every country is always great to see. Io got the biggest cheers during the brawl, while with Belair receiving some boos whenever she was in control. So I think we have our main event for London next week. So for me, I would say this was the second best segment of the night here. So not much more to say. MF, Adam Pearce, he put his foot down. Rhea gets her rematch. It will be Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship in London next week, with Bianca Belair serving as the special guest referee. Whoa, Nelly. Okay, so MF, how about it? What are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be very interesting. I think this is going to be pretty cool. I'm not overly excited that we're getting, I am very happy with the match. I'm very optimistic, but I'm with Michael Bullock. This is not going to end clean at all. I don't think it's going to end in a way that we thought it was going to be, but, it is what it is. It's going to be fine. It's going to be a good match. I think we all are in agreement that it's going to end up being a triple threat. But here's the thing. You noticed it. Io is getting all the love. She is getting the welcome. She's getting the crowd noise and everything else. And fans are booing Bianca Belair. I said it. I told you nobody cares about Bianca Belair. She is getting the John Cena treatment. She's getting the Charlotte Flair treatment. She is at the point of go away because they're ramming it down our throats every time about Bianca Belair. Now, I can say some other things, but I do not want to go there. I could say something that I know would get me in big time trouble. So I'm not going there. People would rather see either Rio win it or Io keep it. They don't want Bianca Belair to be the champion. They don't. I think there's enough people out there that's, I'll openly admit, probably sick and tired of seeing Bianca. Is that fair? No. But there are some people who are very, very, very strong, opinionated about that. And I'm not gonna call it that there's a racist slant to it, because there's not. But the thing is that whenever a WWE star gets mega over and WWE constantly goes to the well one too many times by ramming a person down our throats, i.e. Roman Reigns, i.e. John Cena, i.e. Charlotte Flair, i.e. Bianca Belair, it's going to come to a point where the fans are going to revolt. And they're going to say, this is not who we want. This is not what we want. And we're going to, and whoever you're going to try to push, we're going to push back. That is what's happening with Bianca Belair. Fair or unfair, this is the reality that she's getting. That's why you're seeing fans love Rhea Ripley more. That's why you're seeing fans pushing Io Sky more. Io is becoming more popular through these segments than any other woman. And if I'm WWE, I know Io may lose at WrestleMania, but I would reconsider that decision right now and give Io the moment. She deserves the moment. She jobbed out last year at WrestleMania to Bayley. Do not do that to her 2 years in a row. That's all I'm saying. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it seems like the people are turning on Bianca. That, I mean, fair or unfair? I mean, I think it's unfair, but they made their voice. They made their voices heard, and they feel like that we're getting Bianca shoved down our throats too many times. And Fletch, aren't you forgetting something else that when it comes to Bianca as well?
Because of the Jade Cargill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because some people feel like maybe she too was involved in what happened with Jade Cargill.
Many people believe she's the ringleader of taking out Jade Cargill. That Naomi is nothing but a pawn in this game.
Something tells me it's going to get revealed eventually. It's not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when. I mean, hell, I'll even go as far as to say, I think she was the one that, like you said, I think she is the ringleader. I mean, I'm no freaking Johnny Come Lately. I can see it. I can see it through my own eyes. So, yeah. And the thing is, getting back to this, Io is so loved by the fans. And after what happened last year, she deserves the moment. And don't forget another thing too. Rhea Ripley had her moment last year at WrestleMania when she retained the women's world title over Becky Lynch. I think it's pretty obvious that Io is going to retain. So I'm already putting it out there. So Yeah, that women's world title match ain't going to end cleanly, and I think that's when we're going to get the triple threat. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
All right, guys, let's move on to our next matchup, as it was this was El Grande Americano, aka Chad Gable, squaring off against Dragon Lee. El Grande Americano wins the match 8 minutes and 55 seconds. But MF, it was how he did it that that I know is not gonna sit well with folks there. He literally took Dragon Lee's mask off of him. He took Dragon Lee's mask off of him. And El Grande Americano with the ankle lock, tap out victory. And El Grande Americano wins the match 8 minutes and 55 seconds. So MF, your thoughts on the match? El Grande Americano, Chad Gable, obviously, in a mask, defeating Dragon Lee 8:55. But yes, he did pull off Dragon Lee's mask. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not in a ranting mood. I'm not, like, you already know how I feel about it. It's been well documented. I've raged so many times. Like I said, the mask is the man's identity. That is legacy. That is family. That is everything in Mexico. You do not take the mask off a man. The only time that they are unmasked is when they're no longer with us. When they pass away, and that's the only time the masks come off. Um, it goes from generation to generation to generation. And like I said, the biggest insult you can do is taking a Mexican wrestler's mask off. That is without a doubt the most disrespectful thing that you can do. And it happens time in and time out. And it doesn't matter what company it is. As a matter of fact, I saw that recently happening in AAA. There was a wrestling match where somebody ripped the mask off there, and I flipped out. So no, man. I mean, it doesn't matter. It could be that company in Jacksonville, Florida, WWE, AAA. You know, that other company that used to be based in Philly now is part of that company in Florida that is owned by that same guy in Florida, McMahon 2.0. There will be no forgiveness, or there will be major repercussions, especially coming from me. If that happens, I'm calling somebody out for it. But the match was fine. I wish they did away with that part. I was not happy with that at all. Yeah, nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it was about a 2.5 to 2 3/4. But again, that the taking of the mask just, it rubs me the wrong way every time.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat everything you just said because you just basically just said it. So, 2.5 for me. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3. This was the most physical match of the night with the quickest pace and hardest hitting action. Lee and Americano did a great job. This feud and storyline might be on the ridiculous side, but everyone involved is a tremendous athlete capable of putting on great matches. So it should come as no surprise that this was a lot of fun while still incorporating some of the comedic aspects of the feud. Non-stop fun, and if they had 5 more minutes, this could have been the best thing we see all week. The bump both men took from the suplex off the apron was nasty. The mask was a bit much, but Americano's gear looked pretty cool. So, not going to say too much more on it. So, and then CM Punk came to the ring to give a promo about what happened with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns on SmackDown. And Seth announced that this Friday night on SmackDown, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns are going to sign the contract for their triple threat match at WrestleMania. Michael Bullock, what says you about this?
Yeah. This is going to be interesting. I mean, and what is it when it comes to contract signings? It ain't going to end well.
It ain't going to end well.
And when you got these three combustible elements in the same ring, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk, this contract signing's not going to end well, and it's going to end in a brouhaha fight. So, yeah, get the referees, get the officials, get the 82nd Airborne, because it's going to explode. So, nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah, very good segment here. CM Punk, always a great promo. We know that. And we're going to see what happens when we get to London on Friday night, when those three sign the contract for what could go down as one of the greatest triple threat matches in the history of WrestleMania. And we'll wait and see what he said. I mean, he ripped both men. He ripped Seth Rollins. He ripped Roman Reigns. And he brought up about what he wants. And you heard him say it. He wants that title. He wants the WWE Championship. And he blamed both men. Of course, he went to town on Rollins. He went to town on Reigns, and talked about the wise man. He said Roman Reigns sees in real time that his wise man is not just his wise man. Wink. So, but nonetheless, we're going to have an old-fashioned contract signing. And, oh, man. So, another great segment here. So, MF, you thought Adam Pearce had it bad with the women? Good luck to Nick Aldis having to contain Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins on Friday.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting. And I'm glad and I'm honored that this is exploding on that this is going to explode. So yeah, we're going to wait and see how this plays out. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a lot of fun. In certain areas it was better than others. I thought they did a really good job with it, so I really got nothing more to say. And yeah, Punk did an incredible job making us believe, and I cannot wait to see what happens next, man. This is gonna be nuts. So yeah, Bullock, it's yours. Or did Mike Bullock lead off?
He started it.
All right, then back to you, kid.
All right. And of course, as is customary, we got to hype up what's up. We got to set the table for next week's show. And next week on Raw from the O2 Arena in London, England, Logan Paul will be back. And Logan Paul is going to call out the phenomenal AJ Styles. I think this is where we'll get Logan Paul and AJ Styles official for WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes, John Cena. Cody Rhodes and John Cena one more time, face to face. Gunther one-on-one with Jimmy Uso. And, of course, the big one, the return match from Buffalo for the Women's World Championship. Io Sky in her first title defense against the woman she took the title from in Buffalo a few weeks ago, Rhea Bloody Ripley. And, of course, the added caveat by Adam Pearce, Bianca Belair will serve as the special guest referee. Whew. And with that, we move on to our main event, gentlemen. Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line. The champion, Bron Breakker, defending the title against Penta. Winner of the match via disqualification in 11 minutes and 25 seconds. And still the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, it is Bron Breakker. Judgment Day interference, mainly Dum Dum and Sideshow Bob, as I call them. Dominic Mysterio and Carlito, that is. Dominic Mysterio caused the disqualification by interfering and attacking Bron Breakker. Finn Balor showed up and hit the champion with a steel chair a few times. After some friction between him and Dom earlier, it seemed like they were back on the same page. Penta looked confused about why they would cost him the match. Dom handed him the steel chair and told him to attack Braun Breaker, but he attacked Dominic instead, and the show ended with Finn Balor taking out Penta. So, well, you can very easily make an argument for NA, even though it technically was by default the fight of the night, because, you know, this was on its way to being about a 3.25, 3.5 star bout before the craziness at the end. Penta only got one leg over Breaker's shoulders when he hit a Hurricanrana, but the champion rolled with it and sold it well. Breaker leaping from the apron to send someone over an announce table is awesome every time he does it. And according to a dirt sheet, there's a daily dirt sheet that I read. It's called the Rumor Roundup, and the very first bullet point of the Rumor Roundup that I came across today, that I came across in today's installment of the Rumor Roundup, and read into it what you will, as I always say. Fightful Select notes that plans are in place for a fatal four-way match for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 41 with Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor and versus Dominic Mysterio. Last time I checked, Fightful Select, very reliable source. So read into that what you will. But I'm debating if I should give this an NA or not. I mean, because the match was quite good. And it was by default the fight of the night. I would give this about, like I said, if I were to put a rating on it, I would give it about 3.25, teetering on 3.5. If you want to give it an NA, that's more than fine with me. I will not be mad at you about that. So, but like I said, it was the fight of the night either way. So not much more to say. MF, Braun Breaker wins by disqualification in 11:25, and Fightful Select reporting Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, Fatal 4-Way, IC title Mania. Your thoughts?
I agree if that happens. I don't think there would be any arguments coming from us about that match. And like you said, that's Sean Ross Sapp, and a lot of the times he does have the pulse and the ear of WWE, and is a lot more reliable than any other person when it comes to WWE news. So if he's saying that that's the possibility, I would put some stock in there and say that most likely that will be as accurate than anything else. If it was any other company or any other individual, then I would have been a little on the fence about it. But if it's Sean Ross Sapp, he's yet to do anything that's WWE related. He has not been wrong on yet. Now, there's been one or two stories where it's been a little off, but yeah, I agree. So I think that's going to be true. And as far as the match goes, yeah, I'll give it the 3.25, 3.5. I'll agree with the fight of the night. Even though it was a DQ finish, no, the match, you know, we did have a legit outcome. We did have a legit winner. It wasn't like it was a double count out or double disqualification. Then I think it would actually constitute in a, you know, the Michael Bullock NA rule. But this one actually had an actual outcome and an actual winner. So no, I'll count it. I will allow it, and I'll give 3.5 stars. Bullock, it's yours.
Well, I mean, it was a DQ finish here, and with some interference. So I'm gonna give this about. I mean, to me, this was the fight of the night. I mean, I was gonna give this 3.25 to 3.5, but I'm bumping it down to 2.5 to 3 on this one because of that. So yeah, I did hear the rumor of that fatal 4-way. So we'll see what happens. So overall thoughts time, Florio.
And I believe MF starts it off. So MF, Your thoughts on Monday Night Raw, or in our case, Monday Afternoon Raw from Glasgow, Scotland?
Yeah, I mean, not as good as the one in Brussels, I must openly admit. But it was still a fine show. But I can only give it 7.5 to 8. I kind of feel like the beginning, the John Cena promo made the show amazing. There was some good matches along the way, but a lot of it still felt left to be desired. The crowd was excellent, but there was moments where they actually just sat on their hands. That they weren't as electric, they weren't as vocal as I thought they were going to be. I think, and I kind of feel like maybe there was a missed opportunity by not utilizing Joe Hendry in his hometown, in his home country there. Don't get me wrong, I love to have Jimmy Uso, Big Jim there. I think was just as good, but I kind of feel like WWE kind of missed a magical moment there. But it is what it is. Nothing more to say. And yeah, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I'll give it about 7 to 7.5 for this edition of Raw. I mean, you guys pretty much touched on everything, so let's get into NXT.
Well, I got to get my thoughts in first. So, 7.5 to 8 for me. Monday's Raw had a couple of hits, a couple of misses, and a lot that fell right down the middle. John Cena's promo at the top of the show felt more focused than last week's, and his exchange with Cody Rhodes also had a better flow to it. Dragon Lee and El Grande Americano had one of the best fights of the night, but the Usos and A-Town Down Under provided a fun reunion for the brothers, and the main event was good up until the dirty finish. It feels like WWE is still making some last-minute decisions regarding WrestleMania because the War Raiders still don't have clear contenders, and the mid-card title feuds are only just now beginning to come into focus. MF, you've talked about Joe Hendry. The Glasgow crowd gave the show good energy, but I thought not having Drew McIntyre get a significant segment in his home country felt like a missed opportunity. And I get it. He's a SmackDown guy. I know that. The whole brand loyalty thing. I get it. But you could have had him on there. I mean, hey, you had Jimmy Uso on there, for goodness sakes, and he's a SmackDown guy. So could have had Drew there. But oh well. Minor nitpick, but 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for me as well. So let's get into NXT. Of course, at the CWC, of course, the Capitol Wrestling Center. NXT promised a triple header of championship glory tonight. Stephanie Vaquer was ready to open and close the show in defense of her 2 championships. She put the Women's North American Championship on the line against Fallon Henley in the main event and kicked off against Jada Parker for the Women's Championship. Could the Dark Angel stay the sole woman with gold in NXT, or would NXT see a new star emerge? Javon Evans challenged Lexis King for the Heritage Cup. Was the young OG finally ready to capture glory in NXT? Dark State, that's that rogue group, guys. Dark State continued to terrorize the NXT locker room. North American champion Shawn Spears had something to say about his future. This was an important night for the Black and Silver brand, likely to set the stage for Stand and Deliver. So with that, let's get into our first match of the night for the NXT Women's Championship. The champion, Stephanie Vaquer, defending the title against Jada Parker. Winner of the match, 9 minutes and 25 seconds, and still the NXT Women's Champion. It is Stephanie Vaquer. Good showcase. I'll tell you what, with the Women's Championship on the line, this flew by faster than expected. And even before the screwy finish, these two only had started rolling in the final minute of action. Good showcase for Jada Parker, who seemed to have the champ on the ropes. These two could deliver some interesting rematches down the stretch with more time and variety in the action. Jordynne Grace costing Jada Parker the match may have protected the challenger, but it did not make the champion look good. She seemed to escape with the victory rather than truly fighting at her best. The goal of the night is to reinforce that Stephanie Vaquer can do special things, like defend her 2 titles on the same night, and it will be down to the main event on whether that is a success. And NXT, they opened with a hype video for Stephanie, hyping how no one had successfully defended 2 titles on the same night. The women's locker room and general manager Ava were watching backstage. Security arrived to stop Jordynne Grace and Jada Parker from brawling after the match. And Stephanie Vacour refused to quit on her title match despite needing a significant amount of ice and tape for her ribs after getting jumped and attacked by Fatal Influence. I'll give this a solid 3 stars for the effort. Outcome never in doubt. And we'll have, I think we're going to have a little more to say about Jordynne Grace later on. So solid 3 for me. So not much more to say. MF, Stephanie Vacour, 1 down, 1 to go. Successfully defending the women's championship against Jada Parker. 9 minutes and 25 seconds. Oh, I think MF might have hit the wrong button there. So we'll give him a moment to hop on back here. I think it's the classic case of the wrong button. I mean, this has happened, or maybe his connection dropped. I don't know. Very possible. But we are awaiting to see. He should be back with us momentarily. But in the meantime, Michael Bullock, I'm going to have you take it for a spin here. So while we wait for MF to come back, Stephanie Vacour successfully defending the NXT Women's Championship against Jada Parker. 9 minutes, 25 seconds. And, of course, it was Jordynne Grace who ended up getting involved and costing Jada Parker the match. So, Bullock, are you there? Oh, okay. All right. Not okay. It's obvious. I think we might be having there may be some technical difficulties on our end here. So I'll do the best I can to navigate through this. So let's see. So yeah, like I said, solid 3-star match for this matchup. And okay, we got MF back. Okay. All right, we got MF back. MF, let's get your thoughts. Stephanie Vacour successfully defending the NXT Women's Championship against Jada Parker, 9:25, with a little help from Jordynne Grace.
2.5 stars is my rating for the match. I think that the interference kind of was the outcome that I didn't think was going to happen. At the end of the day, they did the right thing. There's really nothing more to say. And yeah, this was amazing. So nothing more to say. Anthony, back to you.
All right, MF. We're gonna have you lead off on our next matchup here. Tag team action. We had tag team action here. It was. Just bear with me for a minute here. All right. Then they showed a sit-down interview with Vic Joseph and Ricky Saints, and it was announced that we'll save that for the end there when we do the future content. Tag team action: Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe squaring off against Hank and Tank. And Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe win the match. Unfortunately, I do not have a time of the fall, so I'm gonna have to scramble and find that. But before that, you noticed we had some special guests in the house tonight. Former WWE Tag Team Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, making a surprise appearance in NXT this evening. So obviously to hype up Hank and Tank. 6:25. I that's the time of the fall. It was Tyson DuPont, Tyreek Igwe. They win the match 6 minutes and 25 seconds over Hank and Tank. So MF, let's get your thoughts on that.
This was an all right match. I mean, this was about 2.25 stars. Could have been better in certain elements, but at the end of the day, I thought it was a solid for what it was worth. And yeah, there's really nothing more to add. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
I think there's a chance that we might have
Lost Bullet for the rest of the night.
Possibly. I don't know.
Right.
We'll see.
Okay.
And if that's the case, no surprise, because it's been a long night in more ways than one. So, all right. As for me, I'll give this about 2.5 stars for the effort. These two teams have been in conflict since DuPont and Igwe first arrived in NXT, and this is as good as they have ever looked together. If Nathan Frazier and Axiom are soon going to head to the main roster, teams like this are why NXT can survive. Wes Lee has played a big role in elevating Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe from their early spot, but they are still not all the way there as a team. They are getting close quickly, though. Hank and Tank, meanwhile, feel as ready as they ever have. They had the fans rolling with them throughout. And like I said, Sean Spears interrupted Ricky Saints' interview with Vic Joseph to tell him that he had too much ego to ever succeed, and Saints warned Spears that he was coming for the North American Championship. And Motor City Machine Guns helped hype up Hank and Tank before they headed to the ring, and we'll try to speed things up a bit. So, and Motor City Machine Guns gave Hank and Tank more advice backstage on finding their own path to championship goal. Pretty cool. So, you learn from two of the best and the greatest tag team in TNA history. 2.5 stars for that. Heritage Cup up next for the Heritage Cup champion. The Heritage Cup champion Lexis King defending against Javon Evans, and the winner of the match via countout. Wow, we don't often get countout finishes, but we had one here. Winner of the match via countout, 10 minutes and 40 seconds, and still the NXT Heritage Cup champion. It is Lexis King. Give it about 3.25 here. Is anyone in NXT right now better than the young OG? This was as good as Lexis King has ever looked in NXT, and it was helped immensely by Javon Evans' fiery performance. While the result was a little disappointing, it was also expected as Evans is pushing toward an NXT championship match and could not afford to lose to Lexis King. Instead, he basically lost to the ruler, while King just enjoyed the spoils. It was smart booking that still took a little away from the explosive work that preceded. The motivations of the Dark State faction remain fascinatingly obscure. The biggest question is whether they may have another member, perhaps a leader, that fans have not seen. Trick, and I'm going to say it like this about that Dark State stable. I will credit good old MF Michael Fletcher because he came up with the he was the one who pushed for the John Cena heel turn. I'm going to go for my own moment right now. I'm going to make a bold prediction right here and right now. I think there's more to Dark State than meets the eye. And I think NXT is going for their own John Cena heel turn moment. I believe in my heart of hearts, and especially after what I saw tonight, I think Trick Williams is going to be revealed as the leader of Dark State.
Ooh.
You heard it here first. MF, you had your moment with Cena. I'm calling my moment. I'm calling my shot right here and right now. Trick Williams is going to be revealed as the ringleader of Dark State.
That would be an interesting call. That would be out of right field. But, is it? I mean, it's very plausible. And I think and because of the way that he's been acting lately, I think there's a very good possibility. No doubt. So
and later and then later in the show, they had that reporter, I guess you could say, not Sarah Schreiber, but an unknown reporter. Trick Williams was seen leaving the CWC, and the reporter asked him, "What about this Dark State group?" And he said, "That's none of my business." I smell a rat.
Yeah.
I so smell a rat.
All right. Well, we'll see. As far as the match goes, I'll go 3 stars with it. Thought it was a fine matchup. Nothing more to say. Anthony, move on.
Yeah, 3.25, like I said, for me. And what I was trying to say was Trick Williams has been leaning heel recently, particularly with Javon Evans. and I believe he could be and will be an intriguing man at the head of the Dark State stable. And Javon Evans confronted Trick in the locker room, telling the former NXT champion that he would prove him wrong by winning gold. King intentionally targeted the injured jaw of Evans throughout this match until the Young OG's mouthpiece fell out. Evans nearly won it with a 5-star frog splash, and Dark State delivered a follow-up warning to the NXT locker room that no one is safe. And then Trick Williams cut a passionate promo in the parking lot, calling himself the true NXT champion, and also put a warning out to Obafemi that he would be there next week to meet him. Oh boy. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, we had a women's tag team matchup, as it was Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley squaring off against the Meta Girls, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley, they win the match. 3 minutes and 55 seconds. We're going to bypass this. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this was messy, to say the least. In particular, Gigi Dolan was not landing her moves clean when she got the tag, relying on the Meta Girls heavily to bump and make it convincing. Dolan and Paxley, they needed to win as NXT tries to legitimize this new duo that is crossing brands with TNA. Legend and Jackson feel bigger than NXT at present as a tag team and might need to escape the 50-50 booking to get over in the WWE Women's Tag Division long term. And Dolan and Paxley, they kind of needed this win because this Thursday night on TNA Impact, Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley will be squaring off in a non-title match against the new Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Ash and Heather by Elegance. So we'll see how that goes on Thursday night. But if I'm going to be honest with you, yes, Zarya and Sol Ruka came out to watch the match, yes. But if I'm going to be honest with you, I hate to do this, but I got to call it. I got to say this was the worst fight of the night. And the part that I hate about it is I hate to do this. I always hate to do this, but I have to do it. I got to call it a dud. I'm sorry. This was a dud. So, worst fight of the night for me. And I'm sure you guys will concur with that. Let's see. Next up, we had All Ego Ethan Page squaring off against Andre Chase. Ricky Saints sitting in on commentary. They had Uriah Connors and Kale Dixon in Andre's corner. Ethan Page wins the match in an even 10 minutes. This we definitely will address here. It's not a surprise that this was a good match with the talent involved. Andre Chase has consistently proved he can perform in big spots, and Ethan Page has exceeded all expectations in NXT lately. In the end, All Ego picks back up some momentum as NXT teases Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page on the way, maybe even at Stand and Deliver, who knows. And NXT has played the long game in the aftermath of Andre Chase's loss to Ridge Holland. It's been 4 months, and Thea Hale and Riley Osborne have not been on TV since. Notice that. Keep an eye on that. The professor at least seems to be turning a corner slowly with 2 potential new students to foster. It is a solid foundation of a story for newcomers Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors. It would be nice to see this story move soon, though, especially with the return of Thea Hale and Riley Osborne. So, not much more to say on this. Solid 3 stars, maybe even 3 1/4 at best. So, not much more to say. MF, your thoughts on all this? Ethan Page defeating Andre Chase, even 10 minutes.
Yeah, about 2 3/4 to 3 stars. Solid matchup. Could have been better in certain areas, but it was still a fine matchup. Ethan Page winning, not a big surprise because it seems like they're trying to continue this downward spiral of Andre Chase since losing Chase University. He's trying to find an identity now. It was interesting to have Ricky Saints there because of the rivalry that he's got right now with All Ego, but also Ricky Saints has something preoccupied with Shawn Spears. So there's a little bit of a trend here going on with former AEW guys going at it on NXT, which is very interesting to say the very least. So we'll see how that plays out. Nothing more to say. And Anthony, it's yours.
Okay. Then from there, let's see. Okay. believe it or not, only one match. They only hyped one match for next week's show, but boy, howdy, it's a big one. Shawn Spears to defend the NXT North American Championship against Ricky Saints. Oh, I think we have our main event for next week. We'll have to wait and see about everything else, but that's the only thing they announced for next week. Shawn Spears, Ricky Saints for the NXT North American Championship. Speaking of the North American Championship, the main event this week was for the Women's North American Championship. Stephanie Vacour, her second title defense of the night, defending against Fallon Henley. Of course, JC Jane, Jasmine Nix in Fallon Henley's corner. And the winner of the match, in 10 minutes and 15 seconds, and still the NXT Women's North American Champion, it is Stephanie Vacour. And MF, do you lead off on this or do I lead off on this?
I believe this does go to me.
I thought so. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Only fitting. It's your girl here, MF. Stephanie Vacour, she did it. Never been done in history before. Stephanie Vacour makes history again. The first person to ever successfully defend 2 titles on the same night. Give it up.
And boy, she had to earn it, man. I was nervous about this one because if there was one title that is the most vulnerable of the two, without a doubt, in my mind, she is most vulnerable when it comes to the North American title. I'm not concerned about her being NXT Women's Champion, but I am more scared about Stephanie losing the North American title because that's the belt that I think she is the most vulnerable in. Any NXT North American title fights, I'm going to be a little more nervous because any one of these girls can take it off her. Like I said, going in, I did not believe Fallon Henley deserved to be the champion. I'm glad this was the outcome. I'm glad Stephanie went over. I think there is a more deserving woman that deserves that moment. She ain't it. It was a fine match. Another 2.5 to 3. And again, Jordynne Grace shows up at the end and she's eyeballing Stephanie Vacour. So, obviously it looks like Jordynne may be the one to take one of these belts from Stephanie. But the question now becomes is it the North American or is it going to be the NXT Women's title? I believe Jordynne will become the North American champion. I believe the Women's North American title is going to go to Jordynne Grace, where the NXT title may remain with Stephanie Vacour. I don't see it, going one way or the other, even though I think that they have Stephanie in high regard. That's why I think they want her to keep the belt as long as she can. But with the uncertainty of Julia coming back, we don't know how long she's going to be out. Apparently, it's not a serious injury that's holding her out. So she might be back sooner rather than later. But until then, we'll wait and see what happens. So, yeah, nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
I'll give you my thoughts on the Jordynne situation in just a moment. But as far as this match here, this was about another 3 to 3.25 star bout. The dramatic. Now, here's the thing. The show ended with Stephanie Vacour and Jordynne Grace facing off while most of the women's division argued with Ava that they deserved the next shot at Stephanie Vacour. The dramatic hook of the Dark Angels' rib injury sold this match in a big way, allowing them to build up the crowd to a flurry down the stretch. Even if the interference late was over the top, this was the best Stephanie Vacour and Fallon Henley have looked together. It would have been stronger, though, if Fatal Influence was kept out of the equation late. The ending of the night also overloaded the idea that this roster has so much talent rather than finding a cleaner answer to who is up next. It seems like Jordynne Grace, Jada Parker, or both will focus on the NXT Women's Championship, while a fresh competitor will emerge to challenge for the Women's North American Championship. Now, as far as what I think is going to happen, MF, with all due respect, I respectfully disagree here. And the reason I say that is because if you noticed at the end of the show, when Jordynne Grace picked up Stephanie's belts and handed them back to her, here's the thing. She handed back the Women's North American Championship like that. She held that Women's Championship. She does not want that. She does not want the Women's North American Championship, MF. She wants the big one. She wants the Women's Championship. And based on that interaction, she handed her that North American title. Like, here you go. Here's your North American title. But you noticed, as Stephanie was expecting her to hand her back her women's title, Jordan held on to it. What does that tell you? That tells me that I believe at Stand and Deliver, it's going to be Stephanie Vacour versus Jordynne Grace for the NXT Women's Championship. And if that happens, there's a very good chance. There's a realistic chance that Jordynne Grace could walk out of Las Vegas as the NXT Women's Champion. But we'll see. We'll see. We still have a ways to go. We still have a few weeks. So I'm hoping that next week we'll start to see some significant build, and we'll start getting some things announced for Stand and Deliver. Because we're starting to get to that. We're coming down the stretch here. And I think there's only 3 more NXTs left. I believe there's 3 left. Yes, 3. After this show tonight, we got 3 left. We got to start hyping up Stand and Deliver, and you got to start doing it next week. All right, so 3 1/4 for that. Let's get to the overall review here. This was a night of consistently strong action, even with one clear outlier. Stephanie Vacour delivered in the opener and main event, even while leaving plenty of room for bigger performances on the road to Stand and Deliver. Javon Evans cannot miss, taking Lexis King to a career-best effort and selling why he should be in line for an NXT championship opportunity. All Ego Ethan Page continues to make the most of his in-ring opportunities. Hank Walker, Tank Ledger, Tyson DuPont, and Tyreek Igwe showed off the future of the NXT tag team division. Hype is building in a big way for Stand and Deliver. The NXT championship scene and entire women's roster feels electric. And outside of a few awkward backstage segments, this was a great show that also left plenty on the table to show that talent are readying themselves to steal the show come WrestleMania week. Only one bad match that was an absolute dud, but all the others were solid to good to great. So I'll give this in excess of, just like Raw, 7.5 to 8 out of 10. So with that being said, take us home, MF.
7.5 to 8 out of 10. Totally agreed. I think this was a fine show. Really nothing more to add. So Anthony, let's just call it a night.
All right, that'll put the bow on this very interesting edition of this long and interesting edition of Ridiculously Raw, and to say the very least. So we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always and for putting up with our craziness tonight. So we'll be back with you again on Thursday night, 10:30 for another edition of TXN Sports World. If Michael Bullock is on the show, we will have him share his experiences from his 24-hour super plunge this past weekend. We're also going to preview the 2025 Major League Baseball season. And in the main event, it will be our continuing coverage of the NCAA tournament. Maybe some bonus commentary. We'll see. And then Friday night, around that 10:30, 11 threshold, we will have the Cerebral Smack Talk, where we will get into TNA Impact, Friday Night SmackDown, maybe get into some more tournament coverage on top of that. And then next Tuesday, we do it all again with Ridiculously Raw, Monday Night Raw from London and NXT as we continue the road to WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver. So that's it. So until Thursday night for TXN Sports World, this is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher. And of course, always and forever, our first lady of Talking Wrestling TXN, the one and only Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Thursday night for TXN Sports World, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and Streamio.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, and especially after this show here tonight, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.